Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today. We'll be relaxing as per usual. Bit of a stretch. Recording late night. Again, not really much motivation. Honestly, I felt a little bit tired today compared to usual. So that's perhaps why I put it off a little bit. But yeah, what should we talk about? I'm not really sure, to be honest. I feel like I'm so out of it compared to usual. But good evening, everyone. And now in Fawnhallow, it's 10:03 p.m. on Thursday, May 1st, 2025. Oh yeah, happy 1st of May, I suppose. That's not really a thing people celebrate, but still. Well, I mean, I say that technically there is a bank holiday on the upcoming Monday, which is, it's not really a celebration of May Day per se, but I mean, it is a thing. If you don't know what bank holiday is, it's basically a public holiday in the UK. Named after the fact that banks used to close on that day. I mean, they still do, but like I think that's why it's called a bank holiday, because the banks are on holiday. We have one coming up on Monday. But yeah, I don't know, we're just sort of vibing. I've got a D&D session tomorrow and the day after. Usually it would have been a Wednesday, but then something came up. Not in a bad way, but it wasn't something that came up in a bad way, just that a plan got moved, essentially. Yeah, but I don't know what we're going to talk about. I was going to record a new series today, the one following on from Little Gator Game, but then I didn't, because as I said, I was just a little bit too tired, to be honest. I'm not sure why necessarily. I'm not often someone who gets tired, so I hope I'm not coming down with something. Cue this like 3 episodes later being like, oh, it turns out I'm ill. Yeah. What should we talk about? It was not. I feel like most of the big game stuff happened last night. That's perhaps a bit over the top, but TCG Pocket, you know, it was yesterday it all came out. Or was it the day before? I don't remember. I don't know. I'm like so out of it at the moment. Okay. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating. I'm not like extremely out of it. Obviously, I'm still having a coherent conversation and everything. But I definitely feel like, you know, like that feeling when you like just wake up or something, and you're just sort of like, what's happening? And then it's kind of like someone is asking me a question. You know, when you just wake up, like, even I'm not immune to that sort of thing. Like, I'm in a state of... And drowsiness is not the right word, because it's not like I'm tired. I'm not, like, about to, like, fall asleep or something. But it's very much the state of, like, my brain is, like, it cannot think at the moment. It's still, like, warming up again. I feel like I just zoned out or something. But, like, what happened to the past, like, few hours? I don't know. It's 10 p.m. right now. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what happened. I just, you know, I played a few games, watched a few videos, that's about it. And did some pragmatic stuff. It's a very interesting feeling, that feeling of like, you know, just being like, just woke up sort of thing. You know, that. It reminds me of that video, I can't remember what it is, of that person who was sleeping. It's a horrible, it's not the nicest prank to play, but, you know, I'm also not, like, a huge fan of pranks in first place, and perhaps my judgment is off of what someone would consider normal. At the end of the day, it's not that harmful, a prank. But it was a thing of, like, some people just, like, woke up my friend who was sleeping or whatever, who, like, fell asleep during a party, I don't know. I assume they were drunk, as most things go, and then they're just like, wake up. And then they just, like, do random things to him, and in his, like, sort of very sleepy state, he just sort of goes with it. Like, they hand him, like, a banana or something, and I can't remember. They just hand him, like, a load of things to hold, and then, like, they, like, shove him into their wardrobe, as if it was, like, some emergency situation. And then he, like, stays in there for, like, half a minute, and then he walks out, very confused afterwards. It's amazing what your brain does, I suppose, when it's in that state, when, you know, when it's just like sort of waking up, just trying to sort of put things together. It's a wild thing. Because we've all been there, certainly. Of like just waking up and having that extreme feeling of just like, where am I? What am I doing? I think luckily I've not been in a situation where, you know, I've had woken up and, you know, had my friends hand me a banana and shove me into a wardrobe to take advantage of my very drowsy state. I suppose the equivalent of that would be if you're like in like an actual fire alarm or fire drill or something. Actually, is that true? Have I ever like woken up to like a fire alarm going off or something? I think I probably have. Not that I really recall. It was actually a thing quite common in university because obviously all the students shared halls or shared like buildings and that sort of thing, and depending on exactly which building you're in, people would be like evacuated together when it came to like a fire alarm emergency. I was like, I can't think how to describe it. And where I went to uni, there was one big block where there was like 50 or something students in. It was essentially like a tower block or something, which apparently got like fire alarm evacuations all the time, because if like one person like burned something in the kitchen on one floor, which students are wanting to do, it would evacuate everyone. And because we're students, you know, people are doing stupid things like, I don't know, cooking their dinner at like 4 a.m. or something. Okay, I shouldn't say stupid, but like, you know, everyone's on their own individual time scale, right? It's not crazy, I think, to cook a meal necessarily at 4 a.m. I think it's crazy to burn a meal at 4 a.m. and set off an entire fire alarm. That's probably a whole different story. You'd hear some crazy stories when it comes to like students in accommodation. Like, nothing really happened in the building I was in. Like, the people I lived with, or who were in the same sort of halls as me, I was very fortunate where I was basically tied with I was in a group of like 5 or 6 people or something, and we were like very sort of disparate and separate from the rest of the group. And the people I was with were so incredibly like quiet and introverted, most of them, but they just like kind of kept to themselves. And you know, none of them basically used the kitchen. It was just me and one other person sometimes. So despite the fact I shared a kitchen with like 6 people, I shared it with myself essentially. So I never got that rude awakening of waking up at like 3 a.m. and having a fire alarm go off or something, like the poor people in the big tower block building. Doesn't sound kind of lit though, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I don't know, like students at university, we're all like, I don't mean this in any sort of like disparaging way, we're all trying to sort of figure out how to do things, right? We're just, you know, for a lot of people it's the first step of independence. So there's a sense of impracticality, I think, behind it. But like I remember like one of my other friends who was living in like a different halls, like their entire like floor got evacuated because someone was basically trying to microwave like a plastic, not a Tupperware container, but literally like that sort of filmy plastic thing or something, and then just like melted it and set off like horrid smoke or whatever in the kitchen. Not to call this person out or something, but you know, we've all got stories like that. I say, not having a story quite like that. But yeah, but the long and short of it is like your brain in that state, nothing. That little moment, I suppose, when you've just woken up and you're in that state of like, I don't know what's going on, trying to figure out, your brain's sort of trying to put things together. That's very much how I felt like at the beginning of this episode. Now I feel like I've sort of gone into it a bit more. I'm still in a very sort of relaxed, calm state. I guess we've got to do Fawnhallow. I don't know what I'm going to do for it. Has it been progressing? It's not been progressing. Honestly, I've been like incredibly busy these past few evenings. Maybe on the weekend I'll have more time, but yet again, you know, this weekend I've got 2 D&D sessions, and I got one. I'm doing a pub quiz, a regular pub quiz on Monday. So it's really I've already got Sunday, which will be a streaming day. So it's like, when do I find time to do things? I'm not sure. Just stretch. You just got to. I'm just gonna do the thumbnail art of question marks. I'm gonna put zzz on it. We're getting less and less creative. Oh, I gotta put doodle as well. I forgot. I guess I'm just gonna put question mark down. Just like, what does that even mean? I don't know what half of my doodles mean anymore. I kept it much more minimalist, I think, this time compared to previous times, because I didn't really want to overdo it. Do it. But yeah, have a stretch. I'm trying to think myself. I do remember, actually, probably the most confused state I've been in. Both times in university were rude awakenings, I suppose. One of them was after, like, when I was like very, very, shall we say, after a night out, rather intoxicated in a certain degree, and then waking up and just being like, what is going on? After essentially my parents were calling because they were like coming to visit essentially, and I was like, what? You know, that kind of happens. Another time, there was another time when I was very tired. I remember like I agreed to meet some friends like at Nando's or something that evening, and then I just like completely slept through it, and it wasn't until like my friend was like, hey, where's Dear Darling? And got another friend to basically ring my doorbell to be like, where are you? Because I wasn't responding to my messages because I don't know, I just fell asleep, I guess. That state of waking up is just crazy. I feel like the most common one is probably waking up and just like looking at the clock and being like, oh my gosh, I'm like late for school, late for work, late for XYZ activity. How could I be so late? Definitely gets you also. That thing, I think, it just like overrides that sort of drowsy state you're in. Immediately gets your blood pumping, or at least my blood pumping, and being like, oh my gosh, I need to get into action immediately. So you need like a rude awakening, but you need one which just does not completely sober you up, you know, so quickly. Nothing makes you sort of leap out of bed faster than like looking at the alarm and being like, I was meant to be awake like half an hour ago or so. Well, maybe not half, maybe like 2 hours ago or something. And being like, what happened? Luckily that's not really happened. I think every time that's happened, or I've had that thought, it would be like, oh yeah, no, actually it's fine, because it was like, oh, I don't know, I didn't actually need to be awake that early, or like something else. But when it did happen, I was like, whoa. You need something which is enough of a shock to wake up, but does not get your adrenaline pumping, which really gives you sort of like a mental acuity. Acuity? How do you say this word? That doesn't sound like a word.
Acuity.
It is acuity, okay. Acuity, which not many other things give you, I suppose. You sort of like immediately lock in. I wonder if there's a word for it. Word for mind state when you just wake up. That's a bit vague, but hypnagogia is a transitional state from wakefulness to sleep. It's a lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis state. Hypnagogia. I guess that makes sense. But it sounds like it's going one way, but I guess you could use it the other way, right? From going to wake up to or whatever. Lots of sensations. Apparently where sleep paralysis happens. That's fair enough. False awakening. Vivid and convincing dream about awakening from sleep. I didn't actually realise there was a thing. Dream machine. Unihemispheric slow wave sleep. Who knew there were so many Wikipedia articles about this? I guess we're titling this on Hypnagogia. How do you say this word? Google doesn't have it defined. Merriam-Webster?
Hypnagogic.
Hypnagogic. Hypnagogia. Probably. Hypnagogia? Agogos meaning conductor or leader. In Greek. Sleep leader. What? I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, there's a certain sense of drowsiness. And with that, it's like all your sense of being is completely lost, I think. What's going on, who knows? It's just it's astonishing what your brain will come up with, I suppose, to sort of try and sort out any thoughts. Anyway, right now I'm going to round this episode off here. I feel like the conversations these past few days, I feel like I've been not flowing. I apologise. So, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewells. Until next time. Bye-bye for now.